Hey, Jimbo, you ready for this deal?
Turn him out.
Old stories like long-lost friends, rodeos and late-night bends, history before our time, round pens and pasture rides, cowboys of the Osage.
Woo! I love that song, Jimbo. That kid did such a great job writing it. And boy, howdy, I'm going to put the cat out of the bag right here. He did a great job writing that song, and our very own Jimbo Snively, not everybody might not know, but he's a songwriter too. An album just came out, a full album with, I think, 2 of Jimbo's songs on it. Where can they get that thing, and what's it called, Jimbo?
Well, it's called Old Country. We're not really set up yet to sell them, but we're going to be right around. There'll be some announcements made soon. It'll be online, and you can buy the physical CD, but I'll have some announcements to make later.
Perfect. They're 2 fun songs, too. All right. Howdy, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Cowboys of the Osage podcast, brought to you by the Ben Johnson Cowboy Museum, located right here in historic Pawhuska, Oklahoma. It's old Cody over here, and as always, you heard him talking about his songwriting a while ago. My main man, Mr. Rodeo historian himself, Jimbo Snively. Good morning, Jimbo. Who do we have?
Hey, Cody boy, it's just another great day in Osage, man. And Cody, we've got Clay Tom Cooper with us today, all the way from New Mexico. And, you know, I don't know a more historic rodeo family than the Coopers.
One of the biggest.
One of the big, if not the biggest.
I think so.
His dad, Tuff, and his uncle Jimmy were great ropers back in their day, back in the 40s and 50s. And, of course, Clay Tom's a multiple national finalist in the calf roping. His brother, Roy, Super Looper, I mean, he speaks for himself.
He's got his own nickname, you know.
Yeah, he got his own nickname. His sister, Betty Gale, was truly one of the greatest cowgirls of all time. What would she be winning today with the money that they've got up for that now and stuff? I mean, but then his cousin Jimmy was an all-around champion, and of course Roy's boys were national finalists. One of them still going strong. I mean,
phenoms.
Yeah, it's just an amazing family with tons of rodeo history, and we're just really glad that Clay Tom took time to visit with us today. Clay Tom, welcome to the Cowboys of the Osage podcast.
Hey, thank y'all for having me.
It's our pleasure. Where you?
My pleasure.
Yeah. Where you at now, Clay Tom?
Monument, New Mexico.
Monument.
You know, as you was speaking just now, I was having a flashback about Roy and Betty Gill. I turned out and untied a lot of calves when I was a kid.
I bet you did.
I never won a match rope until I was like 16 years old.
It's hard to get fired from that shoot help position, too, sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, I did.
How much younger were you than Roy?
3.5 years.
3.5. Okay.
Yes, sir. About 7 years younger than Betty Gill.
Okay.
And yeah, they question my shoot open ability every now and then, but I had to keep it interesting. Make sure they were scoring and paying attention.
Now, you sat there still on the same ranch that your dad and your uncle had?
Yes, sir. Same arena, actually. You know, we took down the cedar post and net wire and put up pipe and horse wire, you know, but yeah, same arena.
Wow, what a historic arena, Cody.
Was it
same trees over the chutes.
Was it that
V-shaped? They did that a long time ago. Yeah, that no climb horse wire, that 2x4 horse wire. Put that and then put sucker rods in the middle of it. Pipe frame. It worked out really good. Economical too.
Wow. What do you remember about your dad and uncle and their roping, Clay Tom? Were you old enough to get to see them rope much?
Yeah, I did. I don't know. Jim was a little bit wilder.
Yeah.
He wasn't afraid to he'd jump out of an airplane if he needed to, I heard. I never saw that, but I heard about it.
You know, the year he won Calgary, my grandfather won second that year.
Yes, sir.
1950, I think it was. 49 or 50, I'm not sure which.
Yeah.
How big were the calves those guys were roping back then, Clay Tom?
Huge. I got a picture of Don McLaughlin legging one at Fort Worth one time. She looked like she was bred. You really did. I mean, and those guys back then, it was like Cotton Rosser. All the calf ropers in my day used to, hate going to Cotton rodeos and his calves. But, when you went down there and made a heck of a run and it was 14 flat on a big, bad beast, and, you got your hands up, whether you won something or not, you had your chest out, if you're just proud of what you did.
Right.
I thought about it, and I thank Cotton for giving me that opportunity to do that.
Did you ever hear any stories but did you ever hear any of them stories about the calves at Madison Square Garden?
Just stories.
Yeah. They had a 5-second jerk down rule up there, so all they did was turn those calves around, and they were old. They roped them all year, so they got some age on them, and they were smart too. And they said they'd come up the rope and meet you, about half the time.
You didn't have to go to New York to do that. You could go to Bonita, Oklahoma in August, rope the same kills they roped in May at the Clyde Burke roping.
Yeah.
And they take them off that rope and put them back with their mamas. Don't get them back up to Bonita.
Yeah, there you go.
Or not Bonita, Velma, I'm sorry. Velma Picnic.
Oh, okay.
And they'd eat your lunch.
Yeah.
That's the oldest festival in Oklahoma, the Velma Picnic. Jimbo is a big calf roping and steer roping and rodeo, and they have a heck of a good. I think it's still going on down there.
Right.
Yeah. You can go right there, Velma, go 70 miles any direction. Back in the day, there were some roping people right around there. Some of the best there was.
Yeah. How come there's been so many great ropers from New Mexico area? Clay Tom.
Okay, Brett Boatwright was out here with me one time. We were out here at the ranch. We were going down. He goes, no wonder y'all ropes are good. It's a long ways to town. You got something to do.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. Back then, every town had their roping club or a sheriff's posse,
Right.
And they'd all get together and they'd match each other. I remember Hobbs or Monument would match Andrews or Eunice they got together and they had fun back in those days.
Well, Cody, you can just go down the list. I mean, you got Bob Crosby, Jake McClure, Cotton Lee, Troy Fort, Glenn Franklin, all the goods. You can't even name them all.
There's a bunch of them.
You really can't now. There's a bunch of them.
Sonny Davis, Olin Young, Sonny Wright, the Mayfield. I mean, it's just an unbelievable list of roper, and I'm sure I left a bunch out from that area,
Man, I got a horse from Gary Good one time. He rode him when he was 6 years old at Cheyenne, roped calves and tripped on him both and went all around on him, riding the same horse.
Right. Huh. Well, that's something.
Yeah.
Who were all the guys when you were in junior rodeos, Clay Tom? Who were all the guys you guys were roping against back then?
Oh, the Joneses, Tommy Smith, Sylvester, Roy. That's just around here. Pearsons. There's a bunch of them right around here that rope good. Dale Crowder.
How old were you when you broke out and went to roping against the big boys?
16, I guess.
Yeah.
I went, I'd go to the high school finals, state high school finals every year, but I never went to nationals because I didn't pay any money. But you can stay here and go to these amateurs and you're 16 years old and, if you win some money, make a couple good runs.
Wow.
I never was the one to chase buckles or none of that.
Yeah.
I always wrote for a job.
Yeah.
Pay some bills.
Well, that's the way they did back then, Of course, now everybody's just trying to make it to the finals because that's where the money's at. And
that's when you made your money then, too,
Yeah.
You might win 30 or 40,000 to make the finals, and you might go to the finals, win 20. So, you had a good year.
Right.
Yeah, I was watching the 1984 10th round of the calf roping finals today, this morning, Jimbo, and they were talking about Clay Tom's brother Roy, and they said coming into the 10th round, he'd already won close to $10,000,
Uh-huh.
And he'd won quite a few rounds coming into there.
Right.
And so had Clay Tom. I did notice something. You gave that one calf in the 6th round and the 10th round the pistols there. Looks like he even twirled them and put them back in the holster.
I probably got more publicity out of that than if I'd been a world champion.
Were you the first one who did that, or?
I got it from a guy named Butch Johnson that used to play split end for the Dallas Cowboys, number 86.
Yeah, I remember him.
He'd score and he'd come across that line, he'd throw down on his knees and he'd throw down on it. I mean, that's like putting John Hancock on there just to autograph it.
Yeah, that's a good look.
Yeah.
Especially for a cowboy,
Yeah, it was different. Me and Maury Tate, we was rodeoing one time. We was down in Mississippi, 4 o'clock in the morning. Old man come out. There was some race horses. Maury goes, "Not sure we rodeo." He goes, "I don't know much about that rodeo." He goes, "Except that boy shoots them steers." We just busted out laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, who were some of the guys you rodeoed with, Clayton?
Rodeoed with Maury a lot. Rodeoed with Roy quite a bit, or in his group sometimes.
Yeah.
Jimmy Geese, Bill Stockton. Oh, not just whoever wanted to go.
Yeah, yeah. We've heard a lot of Roy Cooper travel stories. Have you got any good travel stories?
I don't
that
know.
you can tell on there.
Yeah, there's some. Roy didn't drive very good, but he thought he could. Kind of like his team roping, you know. I was listening to Terry Ostrack talking the other day. Roy rode pretty good. We never did heel worth a dang.
Yeah.
One time it was in Oklahoma, and HP was up there, and HP was gonna head for him at the NFR. They went and practiced, run about 3 or 4 steers, and HP comes back up there. He said, "You know," Roy says, "you just find out one spot where you're going to put that loop every time. I'll figure out how to put him in it."
Yeah.
Because it wasn't going to go in the same spot twice.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Well, I guess growing up the way you did, where you did, and your dad and everything, you just had to always want to be a roper, I guess. Is that right?
You know, I didn't like roping because it kind of forced me into it. But, I mean, I'd a lot rather walk by the arena and go dove hunting or whatever. But I got about 15 or 16, figured out I started paying money. So, yeah, I got a lot better work habits after that.
Right.
What was a typical practice day like growing up at your house?
Get off the school bus, go through the house, change clothes, maybe grab a sandwich or something to eat, and your horses are saddled and calves are pinned.
How many would you guys run down the rope at the end of your practice, or would you start with running down the rope?
After it, Roy, that's what made Roy so tough, because he was tough on the ground. He was like a machine. And me, you know, I made 2 or 3 good ones in a row. I'm pretty much done. All I got to do now is draw good, right?
Yeah. Right.
Got that down. But yeah, I never worked that like he did. But I mean, I remember times it'd be cold. He'd be down there in the shop, have the heater going, have a calf in there tying him by himself.
Yeah.
Would all you guys do a bunch of matches around there?
Don't even mention that word, please.
What would y'all match for? Hair pull out
It didn't matter. Whatever I had, because I wasn't going to leave there with it. Do the chores next week, whatever I come up with.
We did hair pulls out of the leg, Jimbo, and my leg's still bald to this day from all them matches I lost.
Well, I think mine is too. Yeah.
I can't imagine that old arena there and those Cooper boys roping. That would have been something to see, Cody.
And, you know, I was C.R. Boucher, a couple of older rodeo cowboys, they told me, you know, like 1958, they was out here and they built that arena. And, you know, it stayed like it was till about 20 years ago. And it was about time, so I took it down, put it metal up on everything, put some lights up. It was overdue.
OCR, he was a good hand, wasn't he?
At anything you wanted to do. I'm sure he probably did a pretty good post hole too, according to him. Kind of like my uncle. They can tell you the story.
Yeah.
You know, y'all was asking about this. I want to talk about somebody because I'm kind of humble at my old age, and it's not about me. It's about everybody else. Bill Hensley passed away last week. I may get a little emotional here, but Bill Hensley helped me so much with my tie-in. If he'd have helped me when I was 13, I might have won more of those matches. Bill's from Kiowa. He's taught high school, girls basketball coach. Sonny Pickens, Danny Hamilton, you name it, anybody from around there. The Chapman boys, Bill helped all of them with their roping and tying. Charlie Rowland.
All them toughs from out of southeast Oklahoma right there for sure.
Oh, yeah, not just limited there. Some Tulsa guys. Scott Hampton, I know, went down there. Clinton Clark from Idabel, he went up there. I mean, Bill was good. First time I met him, I was like 16. We was up there over the 4th. Me and Mark Rowland and Clay Bingham, bull rider. He's my cousin here. We went up there and we just down there at Danny's. Bill came over and we tied some. You know, I was go full blast. I might make one good run. Probably make 3 of them was not too good an outcome on them. You know, misstring. I don't miss something. Bill he caught me a lot. You know, that day Charlie had a little old 3-year-old mare over there. Clay, why don't you run some on her? Why, heck, I didn't think nothing of it. I just went and roped on her, stepped off the right, and like we've been doing it all our life. And anyway, she's a little greener than I thought she was. I guess that next week, Charlie started hauling her and kept hauling her for the next 20 years. Yeah.
What did you learn from Bill and about his tying and stuff that he taught you the most?
You know, then was good, but like when I went to college at Southeastern, like 3 years later, he came down and put on a tying clinic.
Mm-hmm.
Us boys, we'd be sitting there going full blast down a post, you know, 4.7, 4.8. You know, we thought we was all about that. Bill puts on a blindfold, goes there, and he's like 48, 49 years old then. Puts on a blindfold, goes there and flanks and ties with him 5.6.
Yeah.
Blindfolded.
Right.
The whole time. And I was sitting right there, I was like, you got my attention, you know. But what his deal was, we was all, you know, we'd start, we'd stop, we'd start, we'd stop. Bill made everything one motion. Just
right.
Be smooth, you know. That's where the clock kills you, is when you start and you stop.
Yeah. Yeah, just keep them moving. Yeah, that's right.
You know, Bill, he was a girls' basketball coach. He could make 3 out of 5 from mid-court shooting basketball consistently.
Really?
If not 5 out of 5, you know. 3 out of 5 is being conservative about it. His funeral was last Friday, and I guess they filled up the gym there.
Yeah.
And really touched a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, I read a little bit about him and stuff, and you could tell he was.
I think he was IRA champ like 1965 or somewhere around there, maybe.
Right.
66.
Yeah. He was.
Bill was just one of those guys. I mean, he was same every time you saw him.
Yeah, he was really well thought of for sure.
Yeah, I talked to him last time about a year ago. You know, I just told him I loved him.
Yeah.
How much you meant to me.
Yeah. Who taught you the most about your horsemanship, Clay Tom?
My dad or my brother. Depends on what end of it you're at.
Yeah.
My dad, he'd show up with one. I mean, he wouldn't do much. He said, we can fix him. Okay, Dad, let's do it after that. And then Roy, you know, Roy's better to stick his toe in one shoulder and make him go left on him. Well, I had a lot of fixing on that to do, too.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's why Shad Mayfield's so tough. You know, his dad, Sylvester, put him on a little bit of everything when he was a kid. And then when Shad went pro and got him on some good horses underneath him, everybody saw what he could do then.
For sure.
Do you think that's important to try to ride as many different horses as you can get on, Clay Tom?
If you ride them right. Just like Terry post-track. I mean, his dad had a bunch around there for him to ride too, you know. Once you learn how to ride them right, it makes a big difference. You know, all these guys nowadays, they're rodeo athletes. They're not really cowboys. There's some of them that are really good hands. I mean, Haven, Caleb, just to name a couple of them. You know, those guys are good. Luke Potter. But they ride their horses right. Hunter Heron, you know, I'm leaving some out, but those are just a couple off the top of my head. Caleb, that horse is. I mean, he'd work good back then, or he can win on him now. It don't matter. That horse is amazing.
Right, and he never gives him a break either. I mean, he rode him for years, hadn't he?
Yes, sir. Yeah, they're kind of like, you know, a carpenter or a horseshoe. You take care of your good tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing that he's held up that long, you know, with the setups and the way they're going at him now, you know, and everything.
He's not done either.
No, he's not done. Yeah. How old is that? How old is that horse? Do you know?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
I know. I've watched him 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I think he's been riding for 7. I believe is what I read somewhere. That's a long time for a calf horse to hold up, really, You
used to see a bunch of
I got a rodeo story I want to throw in here if we can quick.
Let's do it. All of them.
Most amazing thing I ever saw in my life. I'm at a college rodeo. I think it's at Fort Scott, Kansas. I'm not real sure. I'm out leading my horse up there, fixing rope. Bareback riding's going on. This guy gets hung up. Bronc Rumford rides up next to him on his pickup horse, swings his leg over the saddle horn, and he winds up in front of the rigging backwards on a runaway bareback horse. This kid dragging. Brock's sitting there trying to get his hand out, hearing about 2 or 3 more jumps. That horse loses his balance. He goes down his front end and just goes to rolling. I mean, that first roll, Brock went one way and that other kid went the bareback rider went the other way. Probably saved the boy's life. Saved him getting hurt bad anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there. That's the most amazing thing I ever saw in my life. I went up to Peering Nascar and I said, what was you thinking? He goes, I wasn't.
Right.
But yeah, from that day on, I never looked at that man the same again.
I think a lot of old Paul Peterson, but I can't see him doing that.
They said that Doug Vole did that one time with Larry Mahan at a pro rodeo.
Holy moly! I bet that was wild to see.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I sat there at a college rodeo. I mean, I was to put it on Facebook a couple of times. There's a couple of guys that was there that remember it, but they were there that day.
Did you know Bronc's dad, Floyd?
Yes, sir. Much respect for that whole family.
Jimbo, we were talking about the other day. How old was he when he got on his last bareback horse? Didn't you? Did you tell me?
No.
He was way up in his 70s. I was there in Abbeville, Kansas.
Wow.
And I was a little old kid, but that Abbeville wasn't far from where I grew up. And
yeah,
he was up in his 70s and got on his last bareback horse. I swear, rode him.
Yeah, I believe it.
And I think they're asking Bronc if he's going to be getting on a bareback horse up in his his 70s.
I'm not 70, and I wouldn't even want to get on a saddle horse.
I thought Jesus did good to get on a donkey.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad he did,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been a topic conversation the last day or two, me and a couple of my friends.
Yeah, I'm going to be thinking about that for a while now, too. Holy moly. That was...
Yes, sir.
That is one of the greatest rodeo stories I ever heard. Holy moly.
I wish we'd have had cell phones back then. I probably wouldn't have had time to record it, but I mean, it was amazing to see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, somebody would have been recording that ride, that guy's girlfriend or something would have been recording it, nowadays.
Yeah.
We would have definitely had a video of it.
If y'all get a chance, ask Brock about that someday. I'm sure he remembers it well. He told me he was so sore the next day.
What's the craziest thing you ever seen at a calf roping, Clayton?
Okay. I love it when a plan comes together. I was at Bushy Head one year. Clem McSpadden's roping.
Yeah.
Clem runs some calves in there. They crossbreed Bramers. They weigh 350 probably. And, it was juicy. $1,000 fees. I hadn't placed all day, and I got the worst calf in the herd. They hadn't tied him under 30 all day. There's a hand pull barrier, Jimmy Steve Massey. He's sitting there hand pulling it. They ain't got mine pinned. I'm back in the box with a string in my mouth, ready to nod my head. Every minute that calf comes right down that lane, runs full blast. He hits that head gate and bounced off of it. Quick as he did, I'm sitting there nodding my head. They turned him out. I went out there, got him rope, flanked and tied before he ever come conscious again. It was like 9-2. Tied the fastest calf of the rope and arena record. Steve, he's sitting there pulling the barrier. He see it all. I mean, I can get my hands up, and he is down on his knees laughing about it.
Yeah.
That's probably sometimes you got to think outside the box.
Yeah. Shoot, yeah.
And Clem accused me of running a cripple. Well, yeah, he's kind of crippled because he knocked himself out.
Yeah, he dazed. Yeah, that was pretty lucky right there, I'd say.
Yeah, it was when a plan came together.
Oh, man. For sure.
Yeah.
What were those calf ropings like over there? They were crazy, weren't they?
I love that roping. It was hard on a little fella, but Roy, at that time, Roy was about at his peak, and he had a horse he got from Junior. Called him Green Pepper. One day there, I've never seen a horse and a rider be so much in tune with each other and just walk through everybody. I mean, 5 head, big, bad kids. They just went down, every one of them the same run, just jerking down. They jump up his lap and he tie 'em.
Yep.
I wrote my butt off in 1/3, but there wasn't no beating him and that horse that day. And then the next day, we're down there in Durant, and a friend of his, CT Adams, he's an older man from down in Florida, comes up there, wants to try and buy that horse. The first calf, I mean, that horse still fired up from Clem's. He's way too much horse for that fella. The next calf that guy runs, this horse just kind of high up across there, and he pissed off and let him off. And I knew right then he was sold. I told Roy that was one of the biggest mistakes he ever made, selling that horse right there that day. He agreed with me later.
Yeah, I wonder what makes us sell ourselves a foot sometimes.
Well, back then, $25,000 was a lot of money.
Yeah, I know. Yes, sir. I understand. My dad, I saw him do it many times, and it took him a couple years to get a good one made again, and then wouldn't be long for someone else owned another one for sure.
Yeah, but, sometimes that's what we think we need to do. I don't know. I
know, but I just think it's a cowboy mentality. If you get a good profit on a horse bid, you might ought to consider selling him. But nowadays them things are pretty priceless if you get a good one.
Yes, sir. I sold one about 8 or 10 years ago. Sold him for $35,000. But I told the guy that bought him, I was okay. I want 10% of whatever you win on him at the NFR or at the World Series. But that sounded good. Well, that meant that I thought they might do really good on the horse. Kind of helped sell it. But anyways, I got $5,000 more out of the deal. And the guy that bought him, he weighed about 400 pounds. I thought he'd buy him for his son. Well, once he got him, he kept his halter on him. So he's kind of heavy for that horse. I got him bought back, a few years later. He's kind of crippled, but he's made me enough money. He can get pasture ornament the rest of his life if he wants to. I don't care.
Shoot, yeah.
He's a really amazing horse. I mean, my horse year was shooting last fall. He gets done, that horse pawing a foot and goes and rubs his nose on this guy's back. Thank you. And he'd never been around him before. He goes, man, that horse is just amazing. And I go, yeah, once you spend time around him, he really is.
Did you make?
He come from the Osage. He come from up there off the Crossbell at Mullendore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, his mom and daddy did. I got him from Sylvester, and Sylvester got him from Monty Cluck, which he'd married their daughter.
Yeah.
And his mom and daddy came off that ranch. That was an amazing ranch at one time.
Oh yeah, it was. My Uncle Joe worked up there for a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of good cowboys up there.
Yeah, a lot of animals. I mean, good horses, good cows, pigs, farms, whatever. They had it all, huh?
Had buffalo, longhorns.
I got a buffalo.
Do you?
I do. I bought him at the sale bar about 4 years ago. Nobody else wanted to bid on him. I mean, $325. I'll take it. Yeah. After the sale, 2 or 3 of them come around trying to buy him for me. I'm not keeping him.
Yeah.
And I still got him. First year or so, everybody, well, your neighbor's going to hate you because he'll tear up fences and die. Well, there's cattle guard there. He'll hop right over. He don't care about a fence. But he stays on. He likes the hay barn and my cows. And now I got a couple of kids out of him. I don't know. We're going to keep him around. He's fine.
What's his name?
Buffy. Of course. I got one out of him and a Corriente heifer. And when he was 8 months old, this is the first calf heifer too. When he was 8 months old, he weighed 800 pounds.
Wow.
What's your horses think of him when you're trying to gather him?
They're used to him now. Right. That's the best thing about him. When he was young, I had my roping steers. And, steers, they'll swell up about loading and pinning or whatever. But if he saw a gate, he's going to go for it. And here in a minute, they'd follow him.
Did you rope him?
That kind of worked out good. No, sir, I haven't.
You didn't run him through with your practice steers?
I'd run him through, but I never did bother chasing him any. Try to keep him gentle.
Something you got to be careful of roping those buffalo. Uncle Joe, I was telling you, worked up there at the Mullendore place, and they roped one day around the neck, and it rope pulled up tight and all that wool, and they couldn't get him slacked off. He
Choked him down?
Choked him dead. And,
You know, I might have told you one time before, Jimbo, we grew up in Hutchinson, Kansas there, and they had this drive-through park just about a mile from our house. And they had buffalo and ostriches and, all kind of deer and elk, and you just drove through there and looked at them. Well, the buffalo got out one day. They called my dad, and he went and roped the buffalo, roped him slick horns, and tied him down right on the golf course.
Yeah.
Laid him over.
Yep, just tied him right down right there.
Man, I would give money to see a video of that.
Clay
But I mean, if anybody could do it, he could.
Yeah.
He did it for sure.
Clay Thompson,
Yeah, he's a cowboy.
did you ever see that picture of Dick Truitt bulldogging one of them?
Yes, sir, I have.
And Bob Crosby hazing. Now, that's pretty Western right there.
Yeah,
You probably heard a few Bob Crosby stories, haven't you?
a lot of them. Matthew McConaughey, his brother Rooster, lives down here in Midland. He had a buffalo herd, and kids was roping one day and left the gate open. The buffalo got out, and they had half a Midland Sheriff's Department out there trying to herd that buffalo back in. He was trying to sell me a buffalo a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago.
Oh,
Yeah, you don't need to. You get,
No, this one's gentle. His isn't.
yeah.
Once they get that age, you got to, cross the state line, you get brucellosis tested and all that, and it's more trouble than it's worth.
Right.
You guys talked about Sylvester a while ago. How good of a calf roper was he back in the day?
He was as good as Roy. I mean, they match rope so many times, and there for a long time. They was, like 3-3, 4-4, whatever. Depends on what Sylvester rode. Me and him were real good friends. We practiced a lot. When I was a kid, Roy's gone rodeo, and Sylvester and Tommy Smith, I roped with them a lot. They both roped good. We tied a bunch. You talked about it earlier. I spent more time tying with them than I did Roy. But anyways, we was at Windy Ryan one time. It come a bit. That's what Roy and Sylvester were supposed to match up. It come a big rain, so they moved it to Northside Coliseum. Sylvester had a big long neck. Would have been a good horse out there in that big arena, but that little old building, he wouldn't have been no good. I had a sorrel horse that was really nice. Van Echo was his name. And every time Sylvester rode him, he won money. They moved over to that Coliseum. I just saddled my horse up, let him around the trailer there, and handed Sylvester the reins to match up my brother with.
Hey, we never mentioned his last name yet.
He got tears in his eyes and handed them reins back to me. He said, "Man, I thank you, but I cannot do that to you."
Huh.
Well, which me and Sylvester was friends,
Yeah.
It wasn't nothing against family. I was trying to help a buddy out, make him more interested.
Well, that's the way ropers are, though. They can have a match roping and be best friends, and stuff. I've seen that a lot of times.
Yeah. A lot of times we can.
Yeah, not always, but a lot of times.
And then just in case everybody don't know who Sylvester is, that's Sylvester Mayfield, the great Shad Mayfield's dad, but Sylvester was one of the best ropers back in his day, for sure.
Oh, yeah. When I was amateuring, Sylvester and Jim Fuller, if you could beat those two at those Terry Walls amateurs, by golly, you was ready to go anywhere. And, back then, the amateurs were tougher than the pro rodeos. If that makes any sense.
How to explain that, Clay Tom?
They were faster.
Faster.
You think, those amateurs, you have 160, 170 ropers come across there letting it roll.
Yeah.
Terry Phillips, all a bunch of guys from Oklahoma, Texas, South Texas, Bubba Kendricks. Bubba throw his rope. He'd have a 30-foot rope and throw it 35 feet and catch.
Yeah.
But, you could win at those amateurs. Well, pro rodeos was pretty good. When I got in the pros, that's what made me tougher. Everybody else, they'd run up there and sit up to go. They'd take a swing over them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, heck, I could see them. I'd throw it at them.
Right.
One day we was at Fort Smith. I missed when I hit him right in the butt. Boy goes, "Well, what'd you throw for?" I said, "Thought I'd catch."
Yeah.
Come back the next day, riding old Charlie. Charlie was a really good horse, come from Willard, come from Junior. I forget the guy that Willard got him from. That horse went to NFR 11 times. But anyway, that next day I rode him on same throw, same everything. And caught him like 7-8, ring record, fastest kid, whatever. Same deal. Charlie was a good horse.
What'd you look for in a horse, Clay Tom? Well, maybe just start one. What qualities did you like in a horse? Speed or a lot of brains or what?
Both. You can't teach speed.
Right.
But you got to have controlled speed, Sure. You can have a fast horse, but you can have a horse that knows how to get the cattle, and he's going to get you the cattle a lot quicker than a fast horse will.
That's right. He knows how to catch one. That's right. I've heard that.
Yeah. I just look for one that if we could do something on and not get in a wreck. A bunch of them.
Yeah. Did you ever do any steer tripping?
Bronc. Oh, heck. Just a minute. Hell, he just died the other day, too. Bronc Fannin was down there in Durant when I was there. And I entered Cheyenne one year. So me and Bronc, we get out there and we tied us about 20 one day. He convinced me that a rat in the hood'd hold anything. I laid 2 or 3 of them over and I went to Cheyenne. I thought on my first and missed my trip. Come back on my second with 17 flat, like the third steer I'd ever run in my life. 16-8 win last hole. But I got a picture of it, so that was enough for me. That same year at Cheyenne, I was riding that horse I got from Gary Good. Placed in both rounds, come back and averaged. I got a big calf, and he went off over in front of that buck and shoot. I mean, I broke his back. I got a picture of his back folded in half. But I went straight to his tail, trying to tail him up and get him up. I thought I had him up. I laid him over, fixing time. Buddy Lionel, he said, he ain't up.
Yeah.
So I tried again, laid back there. He said, he still ain't up. I looked over there. I said, buddy, he ain't getting up.
What were those calves? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask what those calves were like at Cheyenne. I remember as a kid, they roped white-faced calves and usually had their mamas in the back end,
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, when I first with my dad a couple of times, they had their mamas back there. These were usually white crosses, maybe a couple, red crosses in there, motley face. They, like everything else, they'd weigh 260 or up. But you better get used to them because they're going to split them about 3 herds after Cheyenne. You're going to rope them all through August and September around those rodeos.
Yeah.
I remember there was one time there was a calf that they'd won like an ungodly amount of money on him. I think Marty Jones won Cheyenne on him. Then he came back and won Dodge City on him. Then they came back and won some other rodeos, like $50,000 on this one big Brennel Bramer calf.
I had one on the other end of the herd one time. I drew him 4 times. Finally, I tried to buy him from Harry so I wouldn't draw him again. I finally got him tied down at Prairie one time, and I got fined because I stood on his head and beat on my chest. I said I could get him tied. Maybe they didn't see the humor in it. I kind of thought it was an accomplishment at the time.
You said you went in college down in Southeastern?
Yes, sir.
Who's some of the guys you went to college with?
At the school or in the region?
In the rodeo.
Leslie Jenkins was from Idabel. Leslie roped kids as good as anybody back then. Me and him hauled together a lot. And we both made each other rope better. We rode each other's horses, whatever. We was on our way to the college finals one time. We stopped at a roping at Gillette, Wyoming. College finals up in Bozeman. We stopped there. Me and Leslie placed an ever go around, went first and second in average. After they go, well, tomorrow's rope was for Wyoming residents only.
Yeah,
we had our healer out in the truck.
They were notorious for that.
Yeah.
Up in Wyoming.
Yeah.
So he's one of the guys.
But yeah, Leslie roped kids good. Randy Hay. There was a bunch of them down there that roped kids. Craig Hibbs, he roped kids good. Oh, John Mitchell, he went to Weatherford. John roped really good. John's probably one of the better ropers that never made the finals that should have. He roped really good.
Now, was your sister coach down there then?
Yes, sir.
What would she think? What would she think of these money these girls are making now?
Oh, she's happy.
Yeah.
She is happy. You know, I'll tell you a little story about her. It's kind of spiritual to me. She died middle of November, about 99. About a month later, middle of December, I had some friends out here that clean carpet. They're cleaning carpets out here at the ranch. Got the door open, the hoses run, everything. The doors are open. This deer comes in the house, goes in there and stands in my sister's room for about 3 or 4 minutes, then turns around and walks out. My mom looks up and she goes, "Well, she made one more Christmas, didn't she?" Yes, man, I guess she did.
Yeah.
I never deer hunted after that. Yeah.
Huh, isn't that something? There's so many things out there we just don't understand, you know. Nobody
We're not
knows.
supposed to this side of heaven, you know.
Right.
God gives eyes to see and ears to hear, but, you know, you got to pay attention.
Yeah.
Didn't she invent a breakaway Hondo of some kind?
Yes, sir. They're still one of the better ones out there.
Yeah, I remember I used them too, Jimbo. They were good.
Really?
Yeah, I used them.
The only time they're not good is like heeling a steer with them. You get a little figure 8 around them. They'll break first time or they ain't going to break at all. That's about the problem I had with them. Yeah.
They were way better than those white ones for sure.
Oh, yeah. Magic Loop's the name of them. They still carry them here at the feed store.
When I was a kid, they
She
had
left everything. Her son, he gets all the residuals off that.
we used when I was a kid, and all the old timers used a ring. It had a ring on the rope.
Yeah.
You know, that's still my favorite go-to, old trusty.
Yeah.
My
You
dad
can
still
put
uses the
one
ring
piece of string on there. Yeah, you put one piece of string on there, it's okay, but you put 3 on there and get you a little jerk on there, and that horse will feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a steer, a little bull, like I sold him last year, but I'd had him 3 or 4 years. One day I'm breaking this horse in. I had one of those rings and strings. I rope him. I'm fixing to trip him. Well, the time I rope him, lay my trip, before I get to the end of that bull's done spun around and sitting there looking at me. I couldn't even hear it. I just cooled up and started laughing. It is what it is, you know.
Well, Clay Tom, you won several go-arounds out there at the NFR. Do you remember what they paid?
You know, the first year I went to Oklahoma City, I won 2 rounds and placed in a couple. I won 16,000, you know, and thought I did really good. Which, then I went out there in Vegas. Well, I won about 18,000. I went around and placed in a couple more. I didn't win as much there as I did at Oklahoma City, though. Didn't rope as good.
Right, right. What was the big difference between those 2 arenas?
Man, I like Oklahoma City. I always have. The finals there was just, that's where it needed to be, in my opinion. You know, Las Vegas put the money in there and helped the Cowboys, but I grew up, you know, going to Oklahoma City and watching the finals before I was barely even roping, you know what I mean?
Right, right.
It was good. Watching Ernie Taylor and them guys win it up there, Willard, Junior Garrison, all my heroes.
Right.
Roping those big Herefords, weigh 300.
Yeah.
That was good. That was fun.
It really changed things when it went to Vegas, didn't it?
Yeah, it made it faster, you know. But, well, it took them from cowboys to rodeo athletes. That's what they developed into now, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, growing up, I went to a lot of rodeos. He's just right on the rodeo athletes, and you know, I went to a lot of rodeos with my dad and stuff, and then I went to a lot of rodeos myself, Jimbo, and I'd only see like 1 or 2 guys out jogging around trying to do their bodies better growing up. But the last year or so I rodeoed, you'd be surprised. They were all out jogging, you know.
Yeah.
For sure.
Sylvester, he carried a bicycle with him. He'd ride his bike a lot. If I was jogging, I was probably trying to catch my horse that got out.
Yeah, me too, for sure. But, you know, it has changed a lot, but the money's changed a lot, too, turned it into
It has.
a lot more
Yes,
serious
sir.
business, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. It is.
30,000.
We're having a trip in here this weekend, Hobbs, New Mexico. It's I got a friend built an arena here. It's a really nice facility. He's never had a tripping in it, but it's going to be good. There's plenty of room down there. He spent a lot of money on it, and it's a nice arena.
Is it going to be a jackpot or a standalone RCA, or what is it?
I think it's a standalone RCA, actually.
It is, Jimbo.
Okay.
I read about it this morning.
Wow.
Yep.
They're gonna have a match breakaway roping between a couple of girls, which really ropes good. Tiba Smith and one of the gray girls, I think Tiata. I'm not sure, but yeah, it'll be good.
Well, some of those girls can really rope, can't they?
They really can.
Well, they've got some horses too.
You know, I'm on the rodeo committee here at our county fair at Lovington, and we've got the 20-foot score in the team roping and tripping. And I'm fighting real hard to get it in all events. And I think 20-foot score girls breakaway. You know, we got a big arena there. We might as well use it. It's one of the better outdoor arenas in the world.
Well, that'll separate the cowgirls from just the girls that Daddy bought her a nice horse. Because,
yeah, well,
because they get out in that big
arena. Everybody's going to, you draw the good one and you make a good run, you're going to win some. But, you know, I like to see people, you know, show some horsemanship and show what the horse can do. I mean, that's the biggest complaint I have about calf roping nowadays. Is they don't feature the horses, you know, jerk down rules and the short scores and everything.
Yep.
Well, yeah, you get a horse that scores pretty good, slows down, lets you off, and kind of holds their head tight, you're going to win some.
Right.
Used to, you wanted one, you know, like the horses I talked about earlier. I mean, there's some good horses in there, but they don't have to be.
Right, right.
Haven's mare, Caleb's horse, Hunter's new horse. I mean, I don't know. Those horses work, but there's a lot of them that scare me. You know?
Yeah, well, I was noticing there at the finals last year, you know, I was watching it. So many of them were either dragging the calf and causing them to kick, or rope was laying on the ground. The calf was raised his head up looking around, you know. And
yeah. Really him and the horse both looking to see where the hot dog stand is or whatever.
Something.
I got a nephew who has a gray horse that has that problem a lot.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that. That's one of them I was watching.
I was watching him down there at St. Angelo, and I told Roy, you know, we're sitting there watching. I said, you need to put some blinkers or blinders on that horse so you can't see what's beside him. They stay focused on the run.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Like, if it's me, you just spend time with them. Teach them how, you know, the last 4 or 5 horses I've trained, I started that with them first. Teach them how to lean on a rope and just feel that weight. And that's the first thing I taught them before I ever chased a calf on them. And every one of them has worked a good rope.
Right.
Because, you know, you have that foundation. Everything's about foundation, even, you know, our lives, our Christianity, whatever. Even if you're going to be good at pumping gas, you've got a foundation on it. Do what you do and do it well. If you teach those horses to lean on a rope, they'll always fall back on that. I hadn't thought about that till about 20 years ago, and I started doing it, and it works really good.
Do you go do a day's work on one of your roping horses before you take him to the pen?
Yes, sir. They're better when you do. You know, I'm 63 now. I don't do much day's work on anything. Work smarter, not harder. But I'll saddle him up, lay him soak, you know, and I'm going to ride him. I got a bunch of sand hills around here. You know, you take 30, 40 minutes out there in them sand hills and you knock the edge off one, and then you can go do something on them.
What do you run, cows or yearlings or what out there, Clayton?
Cows.
Cows?
Yes, sir.
Are your winters pretty tough out there?
No, we have good winters. You know, it's dry out here, but whenever we do get rain, we feel blessed.
Yeah, you
bet. It'll rain. It always does. It just sometimes get more at other times.
Yeah, and then in between.
It's dry everywhere right now, you know?
Right. Oh, we're dry
Except
here.
for up there.
Well, we're dry here, but just a little south and east of us, they've got more rain than they need. You know, it's just kind of a...
Yeah, I was down at Durant not too long ago. It's wet down there.
Yeah.
My buddy Kenny Thomas down there. Kenny has trained 7 NFR barrel horses. Don't many people know that. He's another one of those that Bill Hensley helped with his roping. Anyway, they found a brain tumor of Kenny about a month and a half ago. Sure needs some prayers here.
Yeah, for sure.
Beth Broderick made the finals in the 90s, late 90s on a gray horse. Really, really nice barrel horse. But when Kenny had that horse when he was 4 and 5 training him, we rode calves on him. That's one of the best calf horses I ever rode as a 4 and 5-year-old. And then he went to running barrels and he never saw another calf. Yeah.
Boy, there's a lot of good barrel horses out there now. Golly. Watching these winter rodeos.
But you know, like Charmaine's horse,
yeah,
he was broke before they ever run barrels on him.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of them nowadays, that's the first thing they do is take them to the arena.
Yeah.
It's a different world. I mean, it's competition.
Oh, yeah, that competition is tough in that barrel racing. And
there's a bunch of them out there that, you know, some barrel racers are going to argue with you about throwing hay on the ground because it's more natural than putting it in a hay rack. I've had that discussion a lot. Out here, I put mine in a hay rack because I don't want it. I'm going to fight that sand getting in the gut every chance I get, you know?
Right.
But, yeah, there's a lot of good barrel racers out there that know what they're doing. I mean, a lot of them that know what they're doing. And there's a lot of horses that have an opportunity to do it. They breed them for it. Yeah. They got the breeding incentives up for it. Even in calf roping now, they got the horse calf roping futurities. There's a lot of money in it everywhere. It's starting to pay off.
These roping horses don't seem to be lasting as long, though, to me. Are they lasting as long, Clay Tom, you think, as they used to?
Terry Post-Tracks is something that they took the cur dog out of them. You know, they're yeah. But it has a lot to do with the training. It has a lot to do with the breeding. You know, I like the bigger boned horse. It's just going to last longer. But my favorite stud ever was a horse called Domino's Duke. Don't many people know of him unless you're out around here. A guy had him over here at Seminole, Texas, or Denver City, Texas. He was a 7/8 brother to Doc Bar. And he put on some nice horses. They could run. They had cow in them. They was good size, big bone, and smart. They didn't take a butt whipping very good, but besides for that, they were really good horses.
Yeah.
But, you know, you didn't haul one until they was 6 or 7. You know, you spent a lot of time riding them, breaking them, working cattle on them, whatever, riding fence lines. Just get them and do stuff on them. Then you went to roping on them.
Yeah, they were broke when you took them, you know.
Yeah. But it has a lot to do with the pilot, too, you know.
Oh,
those guys roping and running off full blast, leaving that horse there on his own, well, he's going to do what he does.
Yeah.
Till you fix it.
Right.
Best way to do that, if you want one to work, you know, tag up just a little bit, because you're not going to get there any quicker. I mean, you can spin one around and still be as fast as some guy that's running off with rope in both hands, you know, going there and scare them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 1983, Lawton, Oklahoma, Pro Rodeo, they run some Herefords in there. Greg Wenham was 6'7". I was 6'8". Leslie Jenkins was 7 flat, fastest one ever tied in his lap, laying his life in 1/3. He wasn't real happy about it. But Greg Wenham could rope, you know, still can. Greg's a good horseman.
Yeah.
He's some of them, you know, one time, 60, 70 miles out there, any direction from Velma or Duncan, there was 50 ropers that could beat you. Any direction, you know?
Yeah.
You know, Gary Ledford, Roger Ledford, all the guys, Clyde Bullard, all the guys been at Comanche, guys out west, Apache, Duncan, Lawton, Gil Turner, Junior Garrison. I mean, just a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's pretty ropey country down in there.
It was.
When you were traveling with Maury, was he already making his Mo Betta shirts by then?
Yes. We're down at Jackson, Mississippi. Maury, he's made a decent run. He was 11 or 12. Bob Tallman was in the arena riding up there. Maury, what's a pair of them Justin boots cost down there at Mo Betta? Maury said, well, I don't know. I just have to call and say. He goes, well, Maury, get the rope a little bit better. You won't have to worry about this cost them Justin boots down there at Mo Betta. Maury had a sticker in his saddle blanket over that for years. I think he probably still does. Quick story on Maury one time. He had this tractor. We had trouble with this tractor. One time it wouldn't start, so I'm going to pull start out there in the arena, and we yanked it 2 or 3 times. In a minute, we yanked the front end off of it. We hit it so hard. Well, we got to looking, he had a deep breaker buried in the ground. That tractor ain't going nowhere if you hit it with a semi. But anyways, another time we're taking it to town. His dad Bub's on tractor, and we're driving. You know, we get talking. Look down, we're running 70. Looking in that mirror, and Bub's hat's rolled up, and he's cussing. He's doing all he can to keep that tractor, you know, on top end up. He said, "Do I stop?" I said, "No, just slow down. Let him cool off a little bit before we get there." We felt bad about it, but yeah, we laughed a lot. Me and Maury did.
Did y'all ever run across Garth Brooks back when he was wearing all of Maury's shirts?
Oh yeah, Garth, you know, he's an entertainer. No shirts, just added to it.
Did he ever try to rope a calf with y'all?
No, sir. I never tried to sing with him either. Maury got a picture of him on stage with him at Madison Square Garden, at Central Park, New York City. Maury's got a guitar on him. He's not plugged in, but he's wearing a guitar on stage with a picture. But Maury, he used to, like, every year he'd put on a quail hunt and a celebrity basketball game and a little private auction and stuff, celebrity auction. He raised a lot of money to help out some special needs kids, you know. First he started out doing it for Make-A-Wish, but it found out how much money they was pulling out to the corporate offices. He started, another lady started one up called Giddy Up Go. Maury still does that. He raises anywhere from 50 to 200,000 a year off of it.
Wow, good for him.
Movetta celebrity quail hunt. Used to, it was a basketball game too, but all the people we get was old ex-OU football players and Oklahoma State football players. You didn't want to go in the paint much because those guys would knock you down.
Yeah.
Barry Switzer was our coach one time, and after it, Barry looks at me. We lost by 4. He said, "Clay, if you'd have played the whole game, we'd have lost by 40. I said, "Barry,
Yeah.
if you'd have passed more, you'd have won more Orange Bowls."
True.
But yeah, it's Maury does good with those people. I mean, he has good people, and my hat's off to him. Cody Night Rodeo, he's done really good with it.
Yeah, we were up there going to a few rodeos and stopped and rodeoed with Maury for a few nights one time, Jimbo.
Really?
We were there going, I think we were at Thermopolis waiting to go to Sheridan or something like that. And
Yeah.
we went to Cody, hung out with Maury for a few days.
We rebuilt everything up there, and it's nice.
It's real nice. Heck of a place they got up there. They added steer open to the main rodeo, too.
Yeah.
I'm real high on that rodeo now. So
Yeah,
anytime you
is.
add steer open to it, makes me like it even better.
Yes, sir. Me too.
Were you ever around Ben Johnson any?
I wasn't. I wished I had been. I watched him a lot.
I knew Roy roped in quite a few of his pro celebrity ropings. I didn't know if you got a roping
Yes, sir.
or not.
I went to a couple there at Pawhuska, but I think I spent more time at the beer stand than I did roping, watching the roping.
Hey,
Me and Delbert Kyler, I remember him a lot. He used to be big on the Calcuttas.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, they have a great big memorial roping for Delbert the day before the Ben Johnson now, and it's great. We love old Delbert up here. We sure miss him.
Yeah, I enjoyed him a lot.
We had a lot of Delbert Collar stories. I used to travel with him a little bit.
Yeah,
He was quite a character. I thought the world of him.
yeah, a lot of people did.
Yeah.
And you're right, he did love a good Calcutta, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
luckily his family still loves a good Calcutta. So
Yes, sir. You know, that's what I missed 2 kids in my life on purpose. And one of them was to get even with the guy that wouldn't split me with the Calcutta. And the other one was because I did not want to get my hands on that big sucker because he jumped and kicked the barrier with both feet, and I threw my rope in the ground. Barrier judge said, "Did you hang your rope?" I said, "No, sir, I missed him." I think quick as the barrier pulled, I threw my rope in the ground.
hey, there's another New Mexico calf roper we didn't mention a while ago. It was Brent Lewis. Holy moly.
How can you not mention him? Huh?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just
I knew
kind
I
of
was
forgot
overlooking
about
somebody.
him, but boy, howdy, that guy roping.
Me and Joe
mush
Beavers
and-
rodeoed together. Joe's first year pro. Me and Joe went to the buildings. We get done at Scottsdale, I think it was. We come back over here, stop at a jackpot at Carlsbad, and Brent's there. He's probably 14 then. And he took all our money. Everybody's. Joe said, "Who's that redheaded kid?" I said, "Well, he's going to be here a while. I guarantee you that."
Cody, rumor has it that we might be doing a podcast with him in the near future. Too.
Oh, that'd be great. You remember that match him and Roy had over there at that Bob Crosby roping they had in Roswell?
Yeah,
boy, that was one of the, I think, one of the last of the true classic matches right there, because I mean, it was just really big calves, long score, and two of the best going for sure.
Good roping. Willard used to put those on. Willard Moody helped put them on. Willard always does a good job with pretty much anything he touches. You know, much respect for that man.
Right.
You talking about beer stands a while ago. What rodeo had the best beer stand?
True. I don't know. That's kind of a blur. I'm going to say Ellensburg, Washington.
I think so. It was a good one. Still is probably.
Cheyenne was okay, you know, but it wasn't just one where everybody gathered. But Ellensburg was good. Salinas was good. But I think probably Ellensburg, because everybody gathered. And the wild cow milkers and all the loggers from up there and everybody. I mean, there was a big gathering there.
I always enjoyed all those rodeos they had up there in the Northwest.
I did too.
Like they treated the cowboys really well up there, and I never forgot.
They did. You know, I left Cheyenne one time when I got in a truck with Dave Brock and Ole Smith. One of the best times I ever had in my life. It was a month and a half I spent with them. But the only time I didn't want to drive, they was okay, Clay, it's your turn. Oh boy. I get up there and my left eye I'm watching, my right eye I'm nodding off and I hit the shoulder 2 or 3 times. I never had to drive again all summer.
Good move.
I told them about it later,
That's a story old as time on a cowboy. I mean, my dad was doing that to me and making me drive when I was 14 years old. Oh, Cody, you got to. And then he'd crawl back in the camper. I was 14 years old, Jimbo.
I couldn't crawl back and go to sleep.
I had to do that.
If you were driving now, especially when you're 14.
I don't know why.
I picked up a hitchhiker one time, had him drive for me. He did. He had this big duffel bag, had these sticks sticking out of it, big arrows and hooks on the end of them, kind of intimidating. He goes, "That don't bother you?" I go, "No." Anyways, he's an elephant trainer. I was coming back from Las Vegas to Oklahoma, and I picked him up there about Albuquerque, and he got me to Amarillo. And he's an elephant trainer going to the zoo down there at Rock at right north of Atlanta. I think Stone Mountain, Georgia. He's going to the zoo. And a year later, we was down at the rodeo, and that guy, he was over at the zoo. He really was.
A hitchhiking elephant trainer. Cody, I don't think I've ever heard that.
He had them sticks sticking out of that duffel bag. They looked like some kind of primitive tool or something. One of them had a hook on it, one of them an arrow pointer, Looked like an artifact you might find somewhere. But yeah, he drove good. He stuck it on 55 and held it in the lane, and everything was good.
Yeah, we've heard all now, I believe.
No, my horse has never rode no lettuce truck.
Hey, Tom, if you were making a Mount Rushmore calf ropers, need 4 names, who would you put on it?
Glenn Franklin.
Yeah, we've heard that a lot.
Glenn Franklin. Toots, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, man, nowadays, you got to put Caleb on there.
Okay.
And
that guy is a phenom. He don't get the credit he deserves, I
Probably
think.
not.
He seems he just lets his rope and do the talking is what it seems like.
And he's not near done yet. He's won 4 world titles, and he's not near done yet, I don't think.
Yeah. We'll just leave that other one open.
Well, it's tough. It's sometimes it's usually easy to do 2 or 3 on any event, but then when you go to getting that 3rd or 4th one, boy, it's hard.
Okay, Bill Hensley.
Okay,
Bill
there you go. Well, that's good enough.
Yeah.
You've told enough good about him. He probably belongs on there.
He does. I mean, Bill, he helps so many people with their roping, with their basketball, with their grades, or just through life.
Right.
Well, I mean, that part of his funeral, he filled up a gym Friday.
Yeah. Shoot, yeah.
He didn't call us running down the rope when you guys were doing that, did he? Did he call that a no stall?
I don't know what he called it.
I was practicing with Pate McIntyre. Must not have lived too far from him here a while back.
Nah, Pate. I'm sure Pate was probably there.
And that's how Pate would match you is no loss of motion. He'd call it a no stall. So as soon as you
that was it.
Instead of counting mistakes or whatever, if you stopped or slowed down, he called it a stall. So it just makes me wonder. I'm gonna have to call and ask him if Bill Hensley taught him that.
Yeah, I bet he did.
Pate used to come rope kids with me in Durant a lot. I had a practice horse, a yellow horse. He's a nice horse. Unless you tried to pull him off one, then he'd go to lunge and he might buck you off in a minute. Once Pate got past that, though, he got along good with him.
Well, every horse has a little something you don't agree with, 100%.
Right. They're not all perfect.
Lane Frost used to come rope with me a lot, too. He roped kids a lot better than people ever realized.
Yeah, he was a cowboy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Seemed like a good guy, too, wasn't he?
Very good. Yeah, he's one of those people. He's like my sister, you know. If anybody ever spent any time with him, you know, you thought that was like one of your best friends. Because he gives so much of himself for everybody else.
There are just so many great families out there in the rodeo world. It's nice to see, you know, just a lot of these guys, we may not know them, but we know their last name, and we know that they got to be part of, you know, such and such family, and it's always good to see, to me. And
man, I got one more I want to mention before we get off here. Linda Walters. He's from right up there in Nowata, too.
Mm-hmm.
He, I forget the guy's name. Had a young horse. We was at a rope and a slick one time. Me and Lindell, we hauled together some, you know, go to different places. We had a match roping, but we had to ride the same horse. And we drove, I think it was like a 2-head match, but I said, okay, Lindell didn't drink at all. Well, we got to drink a beer in between each one so give a horse a chance to rest. I had him from then on. Lindell roped really good. Him and Terry both, you know, roped really good for smaller guys.
Yeah.
What they may have had. Huh?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
If you were putting a match roping together today, who would you put up against one another?
Shoot, it's anybody. There's, I don't know, there's 50 that are currently active that are really, really tough. You know what I mean?
I've just been trying to think of a match that I would want to put together, and
even if you could go back in time, you know,
nothing's even back in time all day long, but nothing's coming to my head, you know, right now. Right. So,
Shad and Haven, they had a good match a couple years ago at the Lazy E. Well, I forget what the name of the rope and Rise of the Stars or whatever it is. But yeah, they've had a couple of good matches. They had one match there a couple years ago that was tough.
Shoot, yeah. That's one to think about right there. A
lot of them rope good. You know, Riley Webb, he's probably roped as good as anybody right now, and he's bounding good.
Yeah.
Weston Hughes, both the Harris boys rope good. The younger Harris boy ropes a lot better than people ever. He's turning heads right now. Joel is the same. He ropes really good.
Yeah, he does. Fell off his horse down there the other day, though. He'll have a hard time living that one down, won't he? Did you see that?
Little brothers do that a lot.
Yeah.
It's all part of it.
Oh, yeah.
In rodeo, if it can happen, it will happen, Jimbo. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
I know.
You know, I was at Lake Charles, Louisiana one time. I had this kid strung to be some kind of 7-something. There's a little kid. I get the whistle. This kid comes up and he unties him. I'm wanting to be pissed off about it. This boy goes, man, you fixed to be fast if that kid would have ever stopped running once you throwed him down. He told me that and he was so serious. I just started laughing.
Yeah, that's one
I think I give him my picking string. I give him my. I said, keep that.
What's the best
you
piece
was fixing to be
Yeah, if you had to stop running.
What's the best piece of rodeo advice that Tuffy ever give you?
I don't know. Probably to call home when I needed it.
Yeah.
Need something, call us.
Yeah.
Okay. So he had all kinds of advice. But usually, on me, it wasn't advice. It was taken as correctional encouragement.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Clay Tom, we sure appreciate you coming on today.
Thank y'all for having me. I mean, I was talking to my pastor yesterday morning. He was going to come out this morning and hang out and have breakfast. I said, no, man, I got to take his phone call. It's the only place I still got celebrity status.
Yeah. Well, you'll have it all over now. Again. Yeah.
You'll get all
Thanks.
kinds
I
of phone
enjoy
calls.
watching your podcast, and I appreciate y'all asking me to do this.
Well, we really appreciate you, and I'll let you know. I'll call you or something before it comes out. I'm not sure what day it'll be or, what
That's
week.
fine.
But
Thank you.
I'll sure let you know.
Thank you.
Well, all right, everybody.
I enjoyed it. Y'all have a good day. Thank you, Cody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jimbo.
You bet. Thank you.
See you, Clay Tom.
Bye.
Everybody be sure and like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell everybody about it. It sure mean a lot to me and Jimbo.
Yeah, that was a really good one, too.
Oh, yeah. No more of a historic family than that, Jimbo.
Oh, no, absolutely.
I think that you're right. That's the number one rodeo historic family. And, it just keeps spider webbing off, too.
Right,
There's so many people that's related and indirect related to the family. It's just, it's really unbelievable.
Quite a tree, for sure.
I'd like to see the family tree
Yeah.
of rodeoers in that one. Because
I'd like to have all the buckles that family tree one.
Holy moly. It'd fill up a dump truck.
Yeah, it would.
They'd fill up a dump truck with it, Jimbo.
For sure.
All right, everybody. See y'all next week. Cowboys of the Osage podcast.
Later.
Old stories like long lost friends, rodeos and late night bends, history before our time, round pens and pasture rides, cowboys of the Osage.